So today what we do, let's take a introduction to .NET programming. What is .NET? Why you are going for .NET? And what are the advantages we have for .NET, right? And if the time permits, I will write a small program. Now, what is .NET? Now the question is, what is a .NET? In one line, if I can explain, I can say it will change the way we think about programming. Means what you are going to think about programming, .NET is going to change your entire thinking. .NET is going to change your entire thinking. But if you say, what do you mean by this? Please elaborate the definition. So what I can say .NET is a framework. Now I'm not saying .NET is a language. I'm saying here .NET is a framework. And this framework consists of two major parts. One is known as the common language runtime, and one is known as the .NET base classes. One is known as common language runtime, and one is known as what? .NET classes, which allows us to build distributed, secure, scalable, robust, easily deployable, and maintainable applications in a language independent, object-oriented, web-enabled, managed way using rich level of integration among the present technologies. Now you observe the definition is a bit complicated, right? Yes. But what is the moral actually? The moral is that once you are familiar with .NET, the moral is that once you are familiar with .NET, you can be able to build any type of application. It may be a console-based application. It may be a web-based application. It may be a Windows-based application, or even it is possible that you can write a rich embedded application also. All these are possible under one environment, and that environment is what? .NET. That environment is what? .NET, right? Clear? Yes. Now, see, if any language comes into the market, if any new language comes into the market, it has some new features. .NET, not an exception. A lot of new features are available with .NET. As we proceed, we are going to discuss one by one. I'm briefing all these one by one. Properties, events, and delegates. Now, properties and events. See, properties and events are actually inherited from Visual Basic. The new concept here introduced is delegates. The new concept here introduced is what? Delegates. Delegates. Now, what are delegates? See, delegates are nothing but function pointers. Delegates are nothing but what? Function pointers. See, delegates are nothing but function pointers. Remember, assemblies eliminate the DLL hell problem. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. Dynamic Link Library. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library. See, if you create a DLL file in Visual Basic, or if you are creating a DLL file in C++, you have some drawback. That drawback has been eliminated in .NET under what are called as assemblies. Under what are called as assemblies. What are assemblies? How you can create an assembly, that we see in a separate chapter. API is object oriented. API stands for application program interface. Application program interface. API. OO means object oriented. In .NET, we have 22 languages right now. You can work with C#.NET, you can work with VB.NET, you can work with ASP.NET, you can work with JH.NET, but the library is common for all the .NET languages. Remember, library is common for all the .NET languages. Whatever the library we are using for C#.NET, the same library will use for VB.NET. Cross-language inheritance is allowed. Debugging is allowed. Exception handling is allowed. Exception means runtime errors. What do you mean by exception? Runtime errors. ADO.NET is better than ADO. ADO stands for ActiveX Data Objects. ActiveX Data Objects. ADO stands for ActiveX Data Objects. If you want to communicate with a database, say SQL Server or Oracle, earlier we are using the technology ADO. Nowadays we are using what? ADO.NET.
ADO.NET.
ASP.NET is better than what? ASP. ASP stands for Active Server Pages. Active Server pages. In order to build the classical web applications, earlier we are using ASP. Nowadays we are going for what? ASP.NET.
ASP.NET.
Garbage collection feature. Application domain. This is a new feature introduced with .NET. Application domain. Application domain improves EXE. From one EXE you can communicate with another EXE. So application domain improves EXE to EXE communication. CLR, Common Language Runtime. Common Language provides a secured environment. So CLR means Common Language Runtime. That is the heart and soul of your .NET.
Okay.
Deployment is very easy. You can simply say cut, copy, and paste. And .NET is a neat and clean language. Remember, .NET is a neat and clean language. There is no, you can say, macros available. If you program Visual C++, if you program Visual Basic, there are a lot of problems. But here you see no such problems, no macros. .NET is a neat and clean language. So you observe here a lot of new features are available in .NET, and as we proceed further, we have to discuss all these in detail one by one, right? Clear?
Okay. Yeah, clear.
Any question up to this?
No, I'm good.
Now, before we write our program, let's understand the three important aspects. What is the current development model? How many types of applications you can create? And what is the current intelligence scenario? What is the current development model? How many types of applications we can create? And what is the current intelligence scenario? Okay. The current development model is client-server model. Remember, the current development model is what? Client-server model. Client will send a request to the server. Server understands the request and sends an appropriate response to the client. I repeat, client will send a request to the server. Server understands the request and sends an appropriate response to the client. Example of client like Internet Explorer is one example. Server we will use IIS. The server that we will use is what? IIS, Internet Information Server. So lot of clients are there, lot of servers are there. Even if you say you start typing in Microsoft Word, what you will observe in the background, you will see spell checker take place, grammar checker take place, right? Yes. So these MS Word and MS Excel, these are nothing but client components. These are nothing but what? The client components. So current development model going on is what? That client is sending a request to the server. Server understands the request and sends an appropriate response to the client. Once you are well aware with .NET, what type of applications you can create? You can create Windows applications, like you can create MS Word, MS Excel. You can create any company's DLL file, dynamic link library. You can create any company's homepage, e-commerce website. You can create distributed applications. You can create mobile applications, and you can add real-time. You can create real-time embedded application also. All these are possible under one environment. If you are well aware with the .NET, yes, you can be able to develop all these one by one. Right?
Okay.
Now, in the beginning, we have mainframe computers. Remember? In the beginning, yes, we have mainframe computers. Concept is same. You have one client, you have one server. Client will send the request to the server. Server understands the request and sends an appropriate response to the client. But what the problem with the mainframe is their size. One computer is around one room size. One computer is around what? One room size. First problem, Chinese computer. But as the technology grows up, you will get PC, personal computer. You will get PC. That is what? Personal computer. 2-in-1, you can say 2-in-1. This will act as a server. This will act as a client. You will get network. As the technology grows up, you got network. Network means again, Network means again one client, one server. Client will send a request to the server. Server understand the request and send the response to the client. Here network means local area network. Here network actually means what? Local area network. Where a client can, where you can connect one room to another room, or you can connect one building to another building. And nowadays, and now we are having internet, worldwide connectivity. Worldwide connectivity. Concept is same. One client, one server. Concept is same. We have the client and server, but here you observe we have the worldwide connectivity, right?
Connectivity. Yeah.
So as the technology grows up, you observe as the technology grows up, see our intelligence also has shifts from mainframe. From mainframe you will see PC. From PC you will observe network, and from network we are having internet. Worldwide connectivity, but the concept is same. But the concept here is what?
Same.
The same. That is what? Client server. That is what?
Client server.
Client server. So client will send a request to the server. Server understand the request and send the appropriate message to what? The client.
Client.
Now, in market, we have too many languages available. In market, we have too many languages available. You can work on Visual Basic, you can work on Visual C, ASP, etc. Too many languages are there in the market. The biggest problem is what? Language interoperability. Suppose if you write a code in Visual C++, suppose for example, you have written a code in Visual C++. Now, can you use the same code in Visual Basic? Answer is what? No.
No.
Answer is what? No. Why?
No.
The reason is, answer is what? No. Why? The
No.
reason is common type system. See, if in Visual C++, suppose if an integer occupies 4 bytes in a memory, then it is not a guarantee that in Visual Basic also an integer occupies 4 bytes in memory, right?
Yeah.
Biggest problem is language interoperability. So if you write a code in Visual C++, we cannot use the same code in Visual Basic. Why? Because there is no common type system. Because there is no
Common type system.
common type system. CTS means common type
system.
Object-oriented languages understand the features of non-object-oriented languages, but non-object-oriented languages cannot understand the features of object-oriented. Some hardware issues may be there for each language. No cross-language inheritance is allowed. No cross-language debugging is allowed. No cross-language exception handling is allowed. So no cross-language inheritance is allowed. No cross-language debugging is allowed. No cross-language exception handling is allowed. Inconsistent programming model. Observe. Inconsistent programming model. Windows is an event-driven programming model. Remember, Windows is a what? Event-driven programming model. Event-driven means what? Hitting a key on the keyboard is an event. Clicking the left mouse button is an event. Whereas the web applications are called as non-event driven. Different development environments are there. Different IDEs are there. Integrated development environment. If you learn different environment, if you go for different languages, you need to master different IDEs. You need to master what?
Different IDEs.
Deployment issue. Some languages support deployment, some languages do not support deployment. Operating system difficulties and runtime problem. Runtime means like say memory leak problem. So it means that if you are trying to learn different languages, if you try to learn different languages, then definitely you will have different issues, right? Clear?
Yeah.
This is the big problem. This is the big problem. Now, world's topmost two companies. World's topmost two companies. One is known as Microsoft, and one is known as Microsoft, and one is known as the Sun Microsystem. Both these companies realizes the fact. Both these companies realizes the fact. So solution is provided by Microsoft. Solution is provided by what? Sun Microsoft. Microsoft says, if you want to develop client-side applications, you can go for Windows, you can go for ActiveX. If you are going for server side, you can go for ASP, you can go for DMA. And if you are going for mobile side, you can go for embedded Visual C, embedded Visual Basic. But what we people are, and Sun Microsystem says what? If you want to develop client-side applications, you can go for Java or Java applets. Server side, servlets or EJB. And for mobile side, we have midlets. But what we people are? We people are ad hoc to Microsoft. We people are ad hoc to Microsoft. Today, Microsoft introduced .NET. Yes, we are very keen to learn .NET. Yes, we are very keen to learn .NET. Tomorrow, if Microsoft introduces a new language, we are keen to learn that. But this is not the case with Sun Microsystem. Sun Microsystem introduced Java. Everyone is not going for Java. Tomorrow, say Sun Microsystem introduce any other language, say Java. It is not a guarantee. Because we people are ad hoc to Microsoft technology.
Microsoft.
Right?
Yes.
So Microsoft provided you the solution in the form of .NET. In the form of what?
.NET.
We have .NET framework. Now, what this .NET solution comprises of? .NET framework, development tools, and we have .NET servers. In .NET framework, we have CLR, Common Language Runtime, and base classes. We have CLR, and we have what?
Base classes.
Development tools, Visual Studio
Studio.
Development tools. One tool is available to us, Visual Studio.net. Visual Studio.net. .NET servers, 99% time we people are working on SQL server. 99% time we people are working on what?
SQL servers.
But you can communicate with other servers like Digitalk or Commerce, any other server you can use. So what is the solution provided by Microsoft? Microsoft provided the solution in the form of .NET framework, development tools, and .NET servers. .NET framework, language of choice. .NET framework, language of choice. You have 22 languages with you. You can program in any language, not an issue. Language interoperability, biggest advantage. In .NET, all the 22 languages are interoperable to each other. All the 22 languages are interoperable to each other. Means if you write a code in C# .NET, you can consume the same code as it is in VB.NET also. Consistent programming model, powerful library. Whatever you want to think, you can. Whatever you want to think, you can. Microsoft has provided you a very rich feature library. A very rich feature library. Very rich feature library. If you want to work, whatever you want, you can think of. Microsoft has provided you a very rich feature library. Better runtime environment. Better runtime environment. And this was available in the form of what? CLR. This runtime environment is available in the form of what?
CLR.
Operating system. Any Windows operating system is fine. Any Windows operating system is fine. So these are the languages observed, like VB.NET, C#.NET, VC++.NET, etc. And the biggest advantage is language interoperability. The biggest advantage is what? Language intro. All the 22 languages are interoperable to each other, and this is because of common type system, CTS. Common type system governs that how to declare the variables, how to manage the variables, what is the object-oriented model, what are the rules that the language are interoperable. All these will be managed by common type system. So once you are well aware with .NET, you can create client-side applications, you can create server-side applications, and you can create mobile-side applications. You can create client-side applications, server-side, and mobile-side. Client-side applications are called as WinForms, window forms, GUI applications, graphical user interface applications. Server side are called the web forms, or you can say web services. Either you can say web forms, or you can say what?
Web services.
And mobile side, smart clients. So we are going to develop what? A client side application.
Client side.
First we'll start with the
server
client
side,
and then we'll go with what?
okay.
Server.
Server side.
Okay.
Okay.
Library, we have a library called base class library. We have a library called what?
Base class library.
This library is a very rich feature library. Whatever you want to think, you can. Microsoft has provided you a very rich feature library. Some people say base class library. Some people say framework class library. If you want to develop graphics program, yes, you have a GDI library. If you want to develop network related programs, you have a networking library. So whatever you want to think, Microsoft has provided you a very rich feature library. And this library is called a base class library, or you can say framework class library.
Framework class library.
Framework class library. Right?
Yeah.
Runtime environment, common language runtime. Runtime environment, common language.
Common language.
And this is the heart and soul of your .NET framework. This is the heart and soul of your
.NET framework.
Common language runtime contains JIT, just-in-time compiler, garbage collection feature, loading of class. It is acting as a secure environment. Handling exceptions, runtime errors. Any type of runtime error occur. See, by default, if any type of runtime error occur, that will be handled by whom? Common language runtime. By default.
Common language runtime.
It is possible that a programmer can also handle a runtime error. Possible. Okay, it is possible that a programmer can also handle what? Runtime error. But by default, any type of runtime error occur, that will be handled by common language runtime. So CLR, the common language runtime, is the heart and soul of the .NET framework.
Okay.
Platform, Windows. We are going for what?
Windows.
Platform. We are using Windows platform. Why we are using Windows platform? The reason is GUI, graphical user interface. Because of what? Graphical
user interface.
Multitasking facility. Multitasking means more than one task is running at one time. And Windows is an event-driven model. Remember, Windows is a what?
Event-driven model.
So why you are going for Windows? Because of GUI, graphical user interface, multitasking facility, event-driven model. We can use other services also possible, but for these other services, we need to work on what? Different type of server, but which is not allowed here. That is the reason we are going for what? Windows. That is the reason.
Windows.
For what?
Windows.
Clear? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So if you combine all these features together, this will be your .NET framework. This will be your what?
.NET framework.
And we can work with, you can work with any Windows operating system is fine. Windows 2000, Windows NT, Windows XP, any Windows operating system is fine. So if I write a C#.NET code, suppose if I have written a C#.NET code, first of all, we need to compile the code, right?
Yes.
Once we compile the code, what we will get? IL code. What we will get? IL code. IL means intermediate language. IL stands for what?
Intermediate language.
Suppose I have written a VB.NET code. You can compile this, you will get IL code. Once you get the IL code, now the linker will come into picture, and linker will going to create either an exe file or a DLL file. Linker is going to create either a exe file or a what? DLL file. Based on the type of the template. Based on the type of the template. Now, once you get this exe or DLL, the JIT compiler, just in time compiler, comes into picture, and it will going to load the class library. And finally, you will get what? Native code. What is native code actually? Native code is the code that will get executed under common language runtime. This native code is the code. This native code is the code that will get executed under common language.
Common language runtime.
Okay. right?
Yeah.
So either you are writing C#.NET code or you are writing VB.NET code. Ultimately, you will get the native code, and native code will get executed under this common language.
Common language runtime.
Clear?
Yes.
So if you see, overall major part of your operating system has been occupied by unmanaged applications. Unmanaged application means applications that does not run under CLR. They are called as what? Unmanaged.
Unmanaged
But what
applications.
we are working with managed applications. Managed application means applications that run under common language
Language
runtime.
runtime.
So we are going to work with the managed applications like C#.NET applications, VB.NET applications,
VB.NET.
ASP.NET applications. They are all called as what? Managed applications.
Managed applications.
Okay, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So this is just a basic introduction to .NET before we start with the .NET programming. Any question up to this if you have?
No, I'm good.
Now, how to start with the programming? Launch Visual Studio. First of all, we need to launch what?
Visual Studio.
Now, any Visual Studio you can use. It may be 2005 or 2008 or 2012 or 2015, not a problem. Go to
Okay.
File, New Project.
New
Go
project.
to File, New Project.
Project.
And here you will see the dialog. In this dialog, from the left hand side, let me select Visual C Sharp. Let me select what? Visual C Sharp. On the right hand side, you will get a list of templates. I am going for console application. First of all, I am going for what?
Console application.
Give the name, give the location, and say OK. Give the name, give the location, and say what?
Location. Okay.
So first of all, launch Visual Studio. Any Visual Studio you can use, not a problem.
Okay.
Go to File, New
File. New
Project. File, New Project. This is the control.
New project.
Once you say File, New Project, this is the dialog. On the left hand side, Visual C Sharp. On the right hand side, I'm selecting Console Application. I'm selecting
Console
what?
application.
Console Application.
Console application.
Where you want to develop, you can go to a particular location. Where you want to develop, you can
Location.
go to a particular location. Say OK.
Location.
And say what? OK.
Okay.
Once you say OK, what you will observe, this is the common window appears in front of you. This is the common window appears in front of you.
In front of.
Every console application begins with main. Remember, every console application begins with what? Main. If you remember, if you learn C language, in C language we know every program begins with main, right? In C language we know every program begins with main and every program ends with main, right? Clear? Right? Every program begins with main and every program ends with main. Similarly, here also in console application, every program begins with main, every program ends with main. But the main is always enclosed within a class. But the main is always enclosed within a class. Right? Clear? Hello? 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 Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
You got offline.
Yeah,
You got
there is.
offline for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think there must be some internet
Okay,
problem.
fine. So here, see, as I told, every C program begins with main and every C program ends with main, right?
Yeah.
Every C program begins with main.
Okay.
Every C program ends with what? Main, right?
Main, yes.
Similarly, here also in console application, every C program begins with main and every C program ends with main, right?
Program ends with main.
But the
Yeah.
main is always enclosed within a class. The main is always enclosed within a class.
Within a class.
Now, suppose for example, in C language, if you want to print a message hello, what you will do? You will use printf, right?
Use printf, yeah.
Right. So in
Yes.
C language we use printf. So here we can use console.writeLine. What we are using?
Okay.
Console.writeLine. We are going for console.writeLine. Console is actually the name of the class. Console is actually what?
Name of a class.
And WriteLine is the name of the member function. And WriteLine is the name of the member
function.
So in C#.NET, if you want to print a message, we can go for console.writeLine. Console is actually the name of the class, and WriteLine is the name of the member
function.
Okay, name of the member function.
Member function.
So if you want to print a message, observe here. If you want to print a message, let me say, go here. I can say console.writeLine. And let me say hello from C#.NET. Okay, so I want to print a message. Now, how to run a program? If you want to run a program, we use Control plus F5. We use Control plus
F5.
Hit Control F5. Hit Control F5. You can see the result. Hello from C#.NET, right? So how you can execute Control F5? How you can execute
F5?
Control
F5.
Now console is the name of the class and WriteLine is the name of the function. Now at the top you will see one line is there using system. Using what? System. What is system here actually? System is a namespace. System is what?
Namespace.
Now the question arises, what is a namespace? A namespace is collection of related classes. A namespace is a collection of what?
Collection of related classes.
So here, this console class belongs to where? System namespace. Console class belongs to where? System
namespace.
So we can also say
system.console.writeLine.
System.console.writeLine. So every console application begins with main. Main is always enclosed within a class. System is a namespace. System is a
namespace.
Okay, and this console class belongs to system namespace. Clear this? Sethuram, clear this?
Yes, I'm clear.
Now, let me show you one more thing. If you observe carefully, within the main, you have some arguments. Within the main, you have some
arguments.
These arguments are called as command line arguments. These arguments are called as what?
Command line arguments.
So here you can see box bracket. Box bracket means array. Box bracket means what? Array. So the args is an array of type string. This args is an array of type what? String. Now let's say I want to iterate the elements of an array. How we can iterate the elements of an array? How to iterate the elements of an array? Iterate means traverse. Okay. So see, in C language we generally use for loop, right? For loop or while loop.
Yeah.
Yes. In C#.NET, whenever you want to traverse the elements of an array, C#.NET provides you a neat and clean way called for each. Called what?
For each.
Here, our array is of type string, so we are taking a local variable s. Local variable s of the type what?
String.
In. And what is the name of the array? ARGS.
Argument. Yeah,
And we are
yes.
going to print the value of S. So whenever you
Yes.
want to traverse the elements of an array, we are making the use of what?
For each.
This is the best way, easiest way to traverse the elements of an array. But here, suppose if I say for each string S in ARGS console dot write line,
Right
I
line.
can print the value of S. But here the problem is
Yes.
what? Right now, if you run the program, you have traversed the elements, but you are not getting any result. See here, no result, right?
No, yes.
Why? Why you are not getting any result?
So we
Because
just gave the string, but we
no,
didn't
no
give any
value.
command.
Yeah, because the array is empty.
Yeah, value.
Because the
Yes.
array is what?
Empty.
This is the reason, right? This is the reason.
Yes.
So whenever you have to traverse the elements of array, we need to go for each loop. We need to go for what? For each loop.
For each loop.
But right now you are not getting any result because the array is empty. Because the array is what?
Empty.
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 Now how to provide the values to the array? Now how to provide the values to the array?
Values to the array.
On the right hand side, you will get Solution Explorer window. You will get what? Solution Explorer.
Solution Explorer.
This window will give you the name of the project. Right click on the project name. Right click on what?
Project name.
You will get a small pop-up. Go to properties. Go to what? Properties. And this is the dialog appears. In this dialog, go to configuration properties, the debug section. Go to configuration properties, debug section. And here we have command line arguments. Here we are going for command line argument. Now I pass three arguments. Let's say I pass three arguments. One is talent, one is computer, and one is education, right? Now in array, the numbering always starts from 0. In array, the numbering always starts from what? 0. So first argument will be collected in 0 position. Next will be 1. Next will be 2. Right? Say okay.
1, 2.
In array, numbering always starts from what? Numbering always starts from what? 0. So
0.
Let's see here. Right click on project name, properties. On what?
This.
Properties.
Properties.
Go to debug section and here you can see command line arguments, right?
Yeah.
Let me provide the arguments. Right click it, close. Now hit Control F5 and you can see the result, right? Now here you are getting the result in 3 different lines because we say right line. Because we say what? Right line. If you want in the same line, then instead of going for right line, you can go for only right. Now run the program and see here, same result. If you want to use a space between them, let me say plus means concatenation. Here plus means what?
Concatenation.
And you can see the result. Got it?
Yeah.
So how to go for command line arguments, how you can pass the values to the command line arguments, how you can iterate the values using for each loop. We will see arrays in detail, but right now how to traverse the elements of an array, that we have done using what? For each. So every .NET project that you create is nothing but a solution. In one solution, we can have multiple projects. One solution can handle what? Multiple projects. Where is your source code? Your source code will be available in .cs file. Your source code will be available in .cs file. Now, how to run the program? Control F5. We always say what? Control F5. Control F5. When you take Control F5, the particular files will be created. The output will be visible because of exe. The output will be visible because of what? Exe. Executable. Right? Clear? Yes. So how to start with .NET? What is .NET? Why you are going for .NET? What is the advantage of .NET? And we have written 2 small programs in .NET. Right? Yes. This is about your lecture number 1. If you have any question now, you can ask.
No, actually, I was thinking about the installation process. Actually, I need
No,
to know that there
installation.
are some.
See, directly you can download any Visual Studio you can use freely
Yeah,
available in
yeah,
from Microsoft, and you can install it. That's it.
yeah. Actually, there are some things like I think 4 DirectX mainframes.
No, no,
I didn't remember all
no,
those.
no. I will send you all the notes. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever I presented to you, I will send you this complete file. Okay.
Okay.
You can go through each
Yeah.
and every slide, and if you have any question, let me know then. Okay.
Okay.
I do not
Okay.
have your email ID. You can send me your email ID. I will send you this complete file. Okay.
Yeah. Shall I enter my email ID in the
Yeah, yeah,
chat now?
yeah. You can enter. So I will send you the email. Okay. Whatever I will going to discuss, I will send you each and every notes
Yeah.
to you. Okay, on a daily basis.
Okay.
Okay, so you can
Okay.
just revise each and everything. If you have any question, let me know.
Okay. So I have sent you an email.
Yeah, fine.
So
Any other
what's my
question?
email ID? Actually, and the Windows 10 is recently have launched Windows 10 recently, so
Okay.
it is compatible for
Yeah, yeah,
.NET.
yes.
So so and if we just move from Windows 8 to Windows 10, also it is automatically
Yeah, it is
compatible, right?
working,
So
no
if
problem.
yeah,
Windows 10 also,
okay.
if you are using, not a problem then. Okay.
So once we used to use in Windows XP, I think in
No,
2012,
Windows.
in Windows 7, I think.
Yeah, actually, Windows XP is outdated nowadays. Okay, so
Yeah. Actually, in 2012, in 2011, I think we have used it.
yeah.
So actually, we used to face some problems.
Uh,
So some
but right
debugging
now,
problems.
see,
So
I am
actually,
talking to a lot of candidates, so not a problem. You can
okay,
use any Visual Studio freely available. You can use any,
okay,
right?
okay.
Okay.
So I have only that one issue. So the class is very good, and I have understood it very
So